And here we are,
Ah,
I think.
yeah, I got you, brother.
Okay. The strange thing is, though, when we're on camera, when I use my cell phone, my coverage seems to go down.
Gentlemen,
Evening, guys.
Bradley.
what's going on?
Not much, my man.
Hey, Brad, I got your message earlier that you're having a very special guest on in 2 weeks.
Yes, Betty will be on.
That's my mentor.
Yeah.
She got me started with this.
Yeah, she will be
Yeah.
on. I
Great.
talked to her the other cheat. Lou, she sends me articles all the time via
Yep,
Facebook Messenger.
I see them.
So, yeah, I was like, hey, Betty, you want to come on and talk? We can set that up. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great to have her on.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, 10 years we've been associated.
What is up, guys? It is the Sports Star Bradley Walker, and welcome to the Walker Report, part of NGSC Sportscast. Remember the website, it's ngscsports.com for all your current sports content. Well, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think I did a pretty great job today at America Conference Media Day. If you haven't seen the videos, either head to my Facebook page or head to YouTube. They're on there. I got to interview head coach Brian Hartline. I got to interview tight end Wyatt Sullivan, and I got to interview linebacker Grayson. Why am I can't remember everybody's name now all of a sudden.
No, of course. Yeah, I know how that
Grayson
goes.
Howard. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
those
yeah.
are the three I got to interview today. I will have to say that the way that they had the media day set up, it was pretty cool. I was like 10, 15 feet away from John Gruden. That's
I
cool.
saw that. I saw the pictures that you posted in the chat in the group text.
That was
You need to post those in the. I'll rip them and I'll post them. I should have posted them on the Instagram earlier. I totally forgot all about it. I'll rip those
that's
later
cool,
and post them on the Instagram. Yeah,
sounds good.
and I'll tag you. I'll tag you those. I'll tag you in those. Just remind me. Just remind me later, and I'll get to it. I'll get to it at some point. It might be like 3 years from now, but I'll get to it at some point.
We'll do. We'll do.
Yeah.
When I got there today, obviously there are people there that are from out of the state of Florida that were checking into their hotel rooms. Yeah. I live 20 minutes away from the hotel, so there was no reason for me to get a room.
You say it's media day for actually what teams was the media day for? Because I don't think it was for everybody, right?
All the conferences, all the teams were there, Lou. All the teams were there.
All from from
the
every
American
conference?
Just the American. Just the American conference.
Because everybody's doing this weekend. This week is media week. And then the SEC has theirs, the Big Ten had theirs, the American had theirs.
Okay, the American conference. Okay. I was trying to think of which conference.
Yeah, tomorrow is the normal conference day. We're going to be able to talk to the commissioner and all of the coaches, which again, we went over questions last week. I'm going to go ahead and if I get an opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and ask the coaches within the conference what we talked about last week. But
yeah, I thought that was. And if you ever want to do that again, or if you want to do during the season, if you want to just if you're gonna do more, if you're gonna have more media availability, if I could speak English, it would help.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you want to go over your questions or whatever, more than happy to help you work on your questions.
No, yeah, I appreciate all the help. It was like I said, Ralph, the guy that runs the website with me, he just messaged me a little while ago and said, dude, you had great questions. Your flow was great. You didn't look nervous. Dude, I was a nervous wreck. I can't admit to you how nervous I was. But I told him, as I told everybody else, I think it was good to interview players first, coach last. Because if I had interviewed coach first, may have been a little different,
Yeah.
But
give us your impression on Coach Hartline. What do you think of him now that you've got to meet him, get to talk to him a little bit? How do you feel like he's going to handle the program?
I think he's the right man to bring the program in the way it is. I did ask him about Ohio State, and I like if you get a chance to listen to the interview I did with him. He said that it's a completely different culture between the two. He said, remember now, Ohio State's been around for 120 years. USF's been around for 30. He said, so it's a completely different spectrum of how we handle things.
That's a big contrast.
Yeah, about 90 years of it.
Yeah.
They
when I was your age, we didn't have a full team at University of Florida, and
but he's very intimidating guy. I mean, he's got major guns, and he's got one arm all tattooed, and he's in great shape. In the media dining room today, I know there's a lettuce outrage going around right now. Well, he ate salad. Rest of us all ate tacos and fajitas. He had salad. So that tells you where his health is and stuff like that.
And obviously he was outraged. No.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
But I wonder.
Go ahead, look.
I wonder how much it was just being on the road all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he eats plenty of burgers and fries and tacos and all that kind of junk. Being on the road all the time, so a chance to sit. I know when I'm traveling, and I get a chance to if I'm on the road for if I take a 5-hour, 6-hour trip, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna especially if I leave in the morning, I'm gonna grab a breakfast sandwich. I'm gonna grab a burger for lunch. When I get to my destination, if it's like a 5 or 6 hour journey, a salad sounds fantastic. So, I'm getting something other than some sloppy, nasty, greasy, not to say nasty, but, I'm not to say it's nasty and gross, but, just nasty food,
Yeah.
Again, a chance to get something green in you as I sit here and drink an energy drink. I've just been tired all day.
Yeah. Monster?
It's a Rockstar. Rockstar pineapple. It's really good.
Pineapple.
I
like pineapple.
I really like how he answered my questions, and I asked him about Coach Day, and I didn't know that he actually played at Ohio State. He's a Buckeye. He played for Jim Tressel, and then he was an offense coordinator under Urban Meyer, and then Brian Day kept him after Urban Meyer had left Ohio State. So I didn't know that until he told me that in the interview today. So I didn't know that he actually played and was an OC for his alma mater. So that was interesting to hear.
Yeah.
But I think he's the right man for the job. Now, how long will he be here? That's the $1 million question. Because I think if they have one good season, because let's say we somehow go 10-2 and win the conference, I think he's gone. I really do.
I think he could be gone. Yeah. He very well could be gone. He very well could be gone.
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't know the whole, how long, he'll stay if they are successful in year one.
And it depends on what jobs open up this fall too, or next spring.
That's true. I mean, a lot of the big jobs in the SEC are basically taken with Kiffin going to LSU, Johnson to Florida, Golish going to Auburn. So unless he wants to go coach at Arkansas, I don't know.
Maybe Arkansas. Arkansas might be open. I know they're not SEC, but Clemson and Florida State may be open.
Yes, true.
But that all depends on how well Clemson and Florida State do. Or if they're both if they have bounce back seasons, which it's fine if we just want to do a college football preview show this week. I'm cool with that. We don't have to necessarily. Oh, you know what? let me stop this train of thought here real quick before we derail and spend 2 hours talking college football. You said you wanted to
Right.
rant about the World Cup, so I'm going to give you the floor to do your rant.
Oh yes, please.
Oh,
I'm gonna go on a cussing tirade too, because
this show is not intended for kids.
this is definitely
Yeah.
not meant for children, because I wrote an article about FIFA, about the altercations that happened in the final between Spain and Argentina, after the game, where players were fighting with each other. I mean, okay, you lost in a World Cup final game, but you got there. Number two, I love how people continue to fucking say that every other league around the world is corrupt, and they set the rules for it. FIFA's the worst of all of them. You let a president of a country, and our country in particular, get a red card violation revoked. We still lost the game. How many goals
Badly.
were disallowed by tiny teams because they wanted the big teams like Portugal and Spain and Argentina and all them to reach the final? They didn't want anybody like Cape Verde or United States or a team that doesn't do very well. So it's a fucking corrupt organization, plain and simple. Now I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are soccer fans that are going to say you're full of shit. You're full of shit.
Right.
Okay, then I am full of shit. But what I'm going to tell you is I don't understand how, people call the NFL, how they fix the NFL for the Super Bowl, and how they fix the NBA to make sure that certain teams get to the thing. I thought the NBA did a great job this year. The Knicks ended their long championship streak.
Yes.
The Spurs are an up and coming young team. They look like the Spurs when Popovich was there with Duncan and David Robinson and Ginobili and guys like that. It makes basketball interesting again to have the teams that don't win so often. The FIFA needs to do something with getting the teams that don't win World Cups. And again, yes, do I feel bad for Messi? Of course you feel bad for him. He's older. He knows this is it. He knows that that was the last World Cup he's probably going to be in as a player. But he won one. He won one a year. They won one 40 years ago. Argentina won one. And I was shocked that they didn't somehow get Portugal in there, where it was him and Ronaldo one more time. Somehow they moved the rules to get that in there. So,
I'm sorry. I keep trying to cut you off, and I don't mean to.
Oh no, you're okay, buddy. You're okay. I mean, that's
I think one of the
big to say about the World Cup. That was my
rant. I think one of the big problems with the World Cup is it's only every 4 years.
True.
Yeah.
Unlike American sports, unlike other sports, that have actual leagues where you're playing against your teams in your own country, maybe a couple of countries, like in basketball and baseball and hockey. With the non-football, it's U.S. and Canada. You have Bundesliga, the Premier League. They have yearly championships, right? So, and I think that's one thing where American sports and American sports fans differ from our European counterparts is American sports fans like parity. They like they like everyone. They like an equal playing field, not equal outcomes. Because nobody really wants equal outcomes, because equal outcomes is boring. Every game would end in a 0-0 tie or a 50-50 tie or a 25-25 tie, whatever you decide is equal. But we like decisive outcomes in competitive, high-scoring games. And you can't tell me a 1-0 game is a good game. Like, if you like soccer, fine, whatever, I don't care. And this idea that somehow they're going to make Americans like soccer, you're 50 years off. We don't have an American. There's no the American soccer market doesn't have the pull, the drive, the interest.
No.
Because once you're about 12 or 13, you're British. You have so many more other sports opportunities, as opposed to like Europe or Asia, or Africa, and or South America. It's disparagement to those countries or those regions. It's just a fact of life. American children are playing baseball and basketball and football and hockey and
Mhm.
soccer and golf, and American kids are wealthier. Even the poorest American kids are wealthier than half the world, and they have more general sports extracurricular activities to do where they don't have to play soccer. If LeBron James was when LeBron James was 12, or Tom Brady was 12, or
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes was 12, if they had have been instead of going and playing their prospective sports, if they had gone and played soccer, they'd be great soccer players. They'd be some of the greatest soccer players of all time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't like the way that a lot of people will tell you that sports are fixed. I, the World Cup was fixed from day one. You can't tell me that they didn't want Argentina in the final because they knew Messi
No,
was done. This was going to be his last
Right.
one. And again, I'm not picking on soccer fans. I'm not trying to call soccer fans out. There are a lot of them. In fact,
Mhm. I'm one of
in
them.
Lou's one of them, and in the top notch sports group, I'm going to call them out. They're a good group. Uh,
mm-hmm.
Gerald's former clan. Now they've done their own thing. They have their own
Oh,
show
Yeah,
every week. And I
yeah,
continue to tell them, good job what you guys have been doing. And I know Devin's a huge soccer fan all the time in the chat.
right,
He's talking
sure.
about
right.
what's going on in soccer, whether it's World Cup, Premier League, Bundesliga, whatever. He's the soccer guru, and I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying that I'm tired of
But
people
it's the
seeing, you know, talking about how American sports are fixed, but yet the World Cup was fixed right off the get go. And it was set
Mhm.
up. And I'm surprised, in all reality, that Spain did end up winning. I'm shocked because I would have thought Argentina would have won because they had had Messi win 2 cups before he reluctantly gets ready to
you hang them up.
retire. I know he
Yeah.
plays for Miami, and that team is owned by, or partly owned by, David Beckham. Um, who
Right.
never
He
won a
never
World
failed
Cup
in
or
my
anything.
Beckham.
And I have an English soccer fan that lives a couple, condos away from me,
Mhm.
and he's from England, so of course he was for England. But again, I just, that's my rant about the World Cup. Is I wanted to kind of say that, oh, college football is the winner's going to be always going to be Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. Well,
Is
not
that right?
necessarily. That's not how football works. Yes, I know people will say, well, there's a penalty that gets called at a certain time of the game that could change the game. But again, as I always say, if it comes down to a penalty, whether it's in hockey or basketball or football, should never come down to a penalty. It just means you got outplayed. The better team won. That's how I look
Yeah.
at it all the time. Is
Yeah.
the better team won that day. And again, the difference between a lot of major sports, other than I think mostly soccer, is anybody can win on any given day. Like I can sit here and tell you, looking at USF schedule, they're going to go undefeated. Well, I don't know that, and who knows? I could be
Mhm.
sitting here, 4 months from now in November, and they're undefeated. I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Or they're winless.
Or
Yeah.
they're winless. They could not win one game. It could be just as bad as the Jeff Scott era in the year
Yeah.
on their hard line. And then if we don't have a winning season, then he can't go anywhere because no one's going to take him if they don't win. They don't win.
Right.
Right. And I
But yeah,
think that's and I don't know about the FIA and corruption. I just don't care about soccer. I don't care about international soccer. But the idea that sports are rigged, or they're faked or scripted or whatever, like, it wouldn't change my opinion, because I don't, like, at the end of the day, I still want, it's like I watch wrestling, right? And wrestling is scripted, right? Wrestling
absolutely.
is fake. Wrestling is scripted. Um, but I don't know who's gonna
Mhm.
win going in. Like, if you were to tell me tomorrow, like, if breaking news, we're all on our social medias at 2 o'clock. A Bleacher Report comes across with a headline: breaking news, this just in, all sports across the world are rigged and everything's scripted. It it wouldn't change my opinion, because I'd still be like, okay,
All right.
okay, what do you want me to do about it? I'm like, yeah, it's
What can I
scripted.
do? Resign?
Do you want me to stop liking it? Uh, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, when you look at it, it's like, yes, the popular teams, the successful teams, the good teams, they get the benefit of a call or two here or there, and the bad teams don't. But the bad teams are bad for a reason. The good teams are good for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the good teams are going to get the benefit of a 50-50 call, an either or call. Could have gone either way call. And because they're good. So more often than not, a cornerback on a good team is going to get away with a clutch or a grab, and a cornerback on a bad team ain't.
True.
Because that's just how it. Those things tend to work themselves out. They tend to fix themselves. Of course, and you have the occasional egregious miscall or egregious call, but for the most part, 90% of the games are called straight up, and there are so many rules that could be flagged on any given play for any given infraction that we are such a litigious society. We love rules. And that's just a societal thing. Societies love rules. It's how you have a society. If you don't have rules, you don't have societies.
Mm-hmm.
You have anarchy.
It's a broken society.
Without rules, you have anarchy.
Correct.
I could bring, of course, I'm an anarchist. No, I won't do that.
And
I am an anarchist. Oh. You people who know me throughout the years know, it doesn't mean much to get me started. Those who've been following me for the last 11 years should know better.
and so like, and the thing is that we wanted more rules. We wanted them to call the rules, 10, 15 years ago, and 20, it's like 20 years ago in all sports, not just football, not just hockey, but basketball too.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted them to start calling it, just call it. And so they did it. They started calling everything.
Yes.
And now, here we are 20 years later. Excuse me, I'll be right back. I got my earbud in, so I should be able to hear you. So now here we are 20 years later, and we overcorrected.
Yes.
And now we're to the point where people are like, stop calling everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for the most part, it was an entertaining tournament, but they had its problems. I mean, I never saw so many yellow cards and red cards that were issued out, and all the offside calls. I mean, that made for some sloppy play. So, I mean, the World Cup was, not perfect.
Well, I don't think, Lou, any sport is perfect, because there's always going to be, like Adam mentioned, there's always going to be a call that we're all like, you got to be fucking kidding me that you call that now. Like, you haven't been calling that all game, and now you call it now in a pivotal moment. And, again, I only watched a little bit of it. I happened to watch the final in extra time because I was at a bar and with my family, and I was waiting to get a table, and of course the bar was full because everybody was there watching the final between Argentina and Spain.
Yeah.
So we had to wait till the final got over, and then everybody cleared out the restaurant.
It was a disappointing outcome for two reasons, of course. One, because of course I had Argentina. A lot of my cohorts picked Spain. I don't know why, but I was expecting a much higher game. I was not expecting this to be low. I mean, you got the two best teams ranked in done the tournament 1 and 2. Argentina being, well, of course, Argentina was the defending champ, so naturally we get number 1, of course. Spain, who was the defending Euro Cup champions, number 2, no question about it. But I was putting more offense, especially after the consolation game, which was a much higher game than I thought it was going to be. And yet, the offense was so lackluster, and there were goals called back, offsides and everything. So, it was supposed to be a much more, hyped up game. And as usual, when everything gets hyped up, it turns out to be, well, a letdown. And of course, my predictions suck anyway, so that makes it even worse.
Yeah. Like I said, I that was kind of what I had to rant about it because, there are, like I said, people that will come out and tell you the NFL is rigged from week one, that they put the Chiefs in, that they put, a certain team in every year. Well, the Chiefs didn't even make the playoffs a year ago. So
Yeah,
that's right.
how's it
no.
rigged? They didn't even make the postseason a year ago. And
Yeah.
how does the NFL continue to have teams that have losing records host playoff games? That's insane to me that you think.
Well, the
Yeah,
problem is, see, there's
Yeah.
because there are too many divisions now that that allow that. I mean, think back 20 years ago, we only had like about what 4 divisions, and they were all the divisions had winning records. When you get this crap team from a crappy division, winning, even though that their record sucks, they're still going because they win the division. If we go back to the way it used to be with just, 3 or 4 divisions and not this weak league team, weak league conference that gets in, it does get a little bit watered down. So that's been the problem. You can't have like 6 or 8 divisions because someone's going to end up, despite winning the division, they're going to have a losing record, and that's not right.
And I mean, you can even think back to the final year that Tom Brady was the quarterback in Tampa Bay. They had a losing record and made the postseason because they won the NFC South. And nothing, I'm not dissing on the NFC South, but it's not a great division. Period. It's not. And it might once again this year be the weakest division in all football.
Yeah.
Because it's not. And again, I'm not picking on NFC fans, as far as the Bucks. I'm a Bucks fan too, but the Bucks, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons, I'm not picking on you guys. It's just that's the truth. Until the teams get stronger and better, it's going to be the weakest division of football. And that's the issue that we have is, again, I just, the whole thing with me was the rigging thing with how people call American sports that, no, it's not as rigged as much as that soccer tournament that just happened. You're not going to tell me that wasn't set up for Argentina to make.
I mean,
right.
We have a division that plays like a turd. That's what you're going to get.
Correct.
Your division is a turd. Sorry to say, but
all right. There are about 8 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. There are 32 teams that start a quarterback, but there are about 8 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
Yes.
And
what you would call 8 true starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
But, it's funny. 20 years ago, you talked about how the NFC or the NFC South is a bad division.
Ugh.
But when we had the one guy that we had Buck Flair on last year before last, whenever it was, and he was carrying on about the 80s and how the 80s were the best time for football. Yeah, it's like, but there were 4 teams that could win the Super Bowl every year.
Right.
It was the Cowboys, the Niners, and then it was the Cowboys and Niners.
Yes,
you can pick the Cowboys and Niners in every year, and then pick some rando. One year you have one random year where the Bears are really good. One random year where the Redskins or the Commanders are really good. And so you have, but it was a race to second. It was the Cowboys or the 49ers in the AFC, and then the NFC. Sorry, excuse me. And the AFC sucked. And it's like, who's coming out of the AFC? I don't know. Pick one.
Pittsburgh.
I guess it's gonna be the Patriots this year.
Mm.
We'll send their sorry asses to get waffle stomped
Mm-hmm.
by
Mm-hmm.
the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
Maybe you had those couple of years where Oakland was pretty good and managed to win a
Yeah.
chip, but now you have 20 teams in the league that are at least a decent threat to go out and win it all, as opposed to 4, like it was 30, 40 years ago.
Correct.
I mean, you have a much more balanced, much more. I think Detroit's got a good shot. I think Minnesota's got a good shot. Um, Philly, New England, Buffalo,
I think
Chicago.
I think every team in the NFC North has a shot at getting out of the division and winning because
Vikings?
the Vikings. Well, the Vikings. I mean, you're going to have a quarterback controversy there.
Yeah.
You got Kyler Murray and you got the kid from Michigan,
JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. Thank you.
McCarthy, right.
Mhm.
That'll be a battle. Green Bay has
Yeah.
Jordan Love. That's going to be, they're going to get back. Detroit is set. I think Detroit lost both their OC and DC last year. That hurt their head coach big time. I think now he's got the guys he wants in those spots. I think it's going to be a lot easier for them to win. And then
I hope this is a bounce back year. Yeah, I hope this is a bounce back.
And then you have Chicago, who magically last year played very well. Caleb Williams looked pretty damn good, especially against Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
They were down double-digit points going into halftime and came back and won that game at home in Soldier Field, and that stadium was electric. I've never seen. It's been a long time since I've seen Soldier Field that electric for a Bears game.
Right. Yeah.
But like I said, I think the NFC North could be one of the better divisions in all the football.
Or the worst division.
Or the worst division. Again, we don't know.
Because I think you have 4 teams that can win on any given Sunday, and they got to play each other twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to beat each other up. So, and I think all 8 of those games are split games. They split the home and home.
Well, and I mean, you can look at the NFC East with the Giants are going to be better with Coach Harbaugh. The Eagles are the Eagles. They're not going away.
No.
The Cowboys will somehow find a way to bounce back. And then you have the Commanders, who Jalen Daniels was hurt last year. So you have him back. And again, the thing is we haven't played any football yet. So in college and in the pro level, we haven't all we can go off in college is spring game. And again, spring games aren't anything because they're not going to show you anything. They're not
they're all vanilla.
They're just, hey, we're going to go out there. We're going to see how these kids gel together. Again, talking to, an offensive guy and a defensive guy today, it was nice to kind of get both sides of the ball and talk to them about their experience, playing, with the tight end that I talked to, playing under Byron Brown. I brought his name up. Now, what you guys don't know is Alex Golish, as you know, is in Auburn. SEC Media Day is in Tampa. America Conference is in St. Pete. But Alex Golish would not take any questions from Tampa Bay media. Why is that? He didn't want to be questioned about USF. He doesn't want to be questioned about USF. And again, I don't blame him because he said everything he's going to say. He's not going to come out now and bash the university. He said what he said. I know people are calling him, he's a jackass because he doesn't want to talk to you. No, he said what he has to say. Guess what? His focus now is Auburn football. He wants to make the Tigers a better program. He wants to win an SEC championship for Auburn, which hasn't won one, I think, since Cam Newton was there.
2010.
So
2010.
So obviously the one team you want to beat as an Auburn Tiger fan is who? Alabama. You want to beat your rival. You want to beat Alabama. You want to make sure. I don't even know where the game is this year. I don't know if it's in Auburn or if it's in Tuscaloosa. I don't know what city.
I think it's in Auburn. I think it's at
Auburn. Was it in Tuscaloosa last year?
I think so.
Okay.
Jordan-Hare. I think it's in Jordan-Hare this year.
Okay, so if that's the case, then he, in his first year as head coach, he's going to be hosting the Iron Bowl. So that, again, that's the
I believe
difference.
so. Let me look that up.
We haven't seen any football from anybody
Right.
in pro level
No, I
or
know.
college level. So we could sit here and
No,
go, yeah, we could predict undefeated season,
Yes.
and then it could go to shit in a handbasket real fast.
hell yeah. Hell
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the only
Right,
sport
right.
that we can kind of say that we may know who's making the postseason and who not is baseball. Like, I think who your playoff teams could be. You have
Yeah.
teams in the league that are already on top of their division. They're not going anywhere. And then you have teams that are fighting for wild card spots, and you have teams that are out of it.
No, it's in Tuscaloosa. I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Right,
I
but
lied.
You have teams in baseball that are completely out of it. The Angels,
Yeah, I know.
Rockies,
Like the Rockies and the Mets.
the Mets. I mean, all of those teams are out of
But
unless they, pull the Red Sox and win 15 in a row 2 or 3 times.
right.
The next, was there 62 games left? I think they're at game 100. So 62 games left in the regular season. Or,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So you have a lot of baseball, and this is when it gets
and almost
important, is in August and September. These games count more than early in the season do.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We're at that we're to that point where it's not quite early, but it's not yet late.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. But, like I said, we could talk college football. I had a boatload of fun. And I thank you guys again for going over with my questions with me last week, because I didn't know that I was going to get the opportunity to do a one-on-one interview with these guys. And when I saw it pop up from the USF credential coordinator, I'm like, you know what? Grow some balls, Brad, and put in the time. And the worst he can tell you is no. And like yesterday, I got notification that I was going to, I'm like, I was flabbergasted. I'm like, oh my God, and then I knew that it was a one-on-one because I knew there was no press conferences. Like the overall coach, commissioner press conference like that wasn't going to happen.
It's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I have to be to the hotel tomorrow, like at 7 a.m. because the commissioner is going to talk at like 8:05. And I don't have my questions sitting over here with me for him, but I do have questions for the commissioner of the American Conference.
Why do you suck balls so hard, Donkey?
Yeah.
If you want me to, I can set this down.
Yeah, if you want to jump up and grab them real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me see if I can, because I got my microphone hooked up, I got the light hooked up.
Yeah, I understand.
Let me try to wiggle my way out of all these wires real quick.
Right.
Let me get up and go over here and let me get those questions.
Completely understand, bro.
Sure.
Okay. So here are the questions, guys, I have for the commissioner of the conference. I have 4 questions that I have here. Okay. Number 1 is, given the massive resources of the Big Ten and SEC, what is the, American strategy to maintain a competitive seat at the table and protect its media value? There's one.
Okay.
All right.
With the expected House settlement and the NIL caps on the horizon, how is the AAC ensuring its 14 universities remain financially viable without falling into a competitive deficit? That's 2.
Okay.
The AAC's TV partner hold the rights to several key matchups. How do you plan to protect the standalone status and pageancy of the Army-Navy game? And then the last one is, you have publicly emphasized building incredible value rather than just expanding for the sake of it. What metrics are most important to you when evaluating potential new members for the conference? Those are the 4 questions. That should be number 1. I would ask now I know I'm not going to get to ask him. I know I don't have a chance to sit down with him one-on-one and ask him that.
Right.
I think,
which question, guys, out of the 4 would you think I should, if I get an opportunity to ask?
Number 4. Number 4 should be the question you ask.
Yes.
About the
That's the best
realignment.
question.
Okay. Now,
And then I want to, we,
go
yeah,
both.
nah, I know, we're stepping over each other. Sorry about that.
Right.
Can you reread question one again? That you had as question
Sure.
one?
Yeah, it's. This is if someone had asked about the realignment, I was probably going to ask him this one. Given the massive resources of the Big Ten and SEC, what is the America's strategy to maintain a competitive seat at the table and protect its media value? That was the one question.
I would reword that. I would make that given the power conferences, because then you can work in the Big 12
ACC.
and given
Yeah.
and the ACC, given the vast financial resources of the Power Four, how is the ACC AAC, Jesus, too many letters, trying to stay competitive within the group of, what is the AAC doing to stay competitive within the group of five?
Okay, I can definitely reword that. Yeah, I can reword that question.
Because then it gives him a chance to talk about, because like obviously you're not, the AAC shouldn't be worrying about competing with the Power Four conferences. I want, for me as an AAC fan, I want to know what we're doing in the AAC to compete with the MAC, with the Sun Belt, with Top USA. What are we doing to make sure that we have a seat at the table as an at-large bid? Like if my team, if the Bulls were one of my adopted teams because of Brad here, so I pull for them. I pull for those guys, root for those guys in all their sports as long as they're not playing Michigan or Central.
Right.
I root for you guys. I like, getting to have the lacrosse team on a couple years ago was really cool. So, for me as an AAC fan, I want to know what we're doing to compete against the other Power Five conferences, the other non-Power Five conferences, the Group of Five teams. What are we doing? What are we doing to be competitive? And obviously, even if it's not USF, what is Memphis doing? What are we doing with UST, UTSA? That's what are we doing with Army? What are we doing with Navy? How are we making sure that we're sending a team to the playoffs every year? That's kind of what that's my thought, my line of reasoning.
Okay. No, that's no. I completely agree with that because again, if I state the question the way that it is, I am kind of taking out the ACC, the Big 12, and then even the Pac-12, which is coming back into, so it'll be Power 5.
Pac-12.
Yeah, so it'll be Power 5 again. That was one of the things that Coach Hartline said today that, it's nice that, the last few years we've had two American Conference teams get into the playoff. You had Tulane this year, and I think Memphis got in the year before. I don't remember who got in the year before, but somebody else got in.
Yeah.
I don't think from the American. So I can definitely reword that question to do that. But so I'm going to go with the conference realignment one. So if I can,
that's a good choice.
Ask him about that would be great.
If you get a chance to ask more than one question.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll do this. So you want to do 4 as 1. Yeah. 1 as 2, and then what would be the other 2? Would it be Army
3.
Navy 3 or the NIL 3, and then
NIL 3, Army
Navy 4?
Yeah, because I don't think that question is all that important because the Army Navy game is a separate thing. It's outside the scope of the AIC, at least for the time being. It will remain. I think it's 2030 when that 2030, 2032. I'm not sure, but that goes that stretches way off into the future. It's something that I would, if I'm the AAC commissioner, I'm not worried about that right now. We're not worried. This would be my answer. We're not worried about that right now. When we get down the road, we'll worry about that when we get there. But at this time, those contracts are set. So when we get a chance to rework those contracts and look into that, we'll figure that out. With it being a potential political football that both parties are going to try and use to their benefit. We're not really going to worry about handling that right now. So thank you for the question. We'll take the next one.
Okay.
That would be my answer basically.
That's totally fine. I mean, like I said, I'll concentrate on question 1 because those kind of revolve around what the
what he can, those are questions that he can answer. Those are questions for him to, whenever I'm creating questions, or whenever we have a guest, whether it's Nicole or Brandstander or the baseball guy, in a couple of the baseball guy in the better in a couple of weeks, so when we have him on, I'm always trying to tailor my questions specifically to them, so they can answer the question. I give them, and then I give them the floor and get the hell out of the way and let them talk for as long as they will.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh. I just got a text message from one of the guys that's a photographer that goes to the USF games with me, and he he told me, he said, "Can you ask Brian if we can get Misty fans for the photographer?" So I was joking around with Brian before I left today to come home, and I'm like, "Yeah, they demand fans." He's like, "The best I can do, Brad, tell them is the best I can do is cold water." He goes, "I can't get them Misty fans like the players get." He goes, "That doesn't work." I go, "No, I'm just joking, Brian. That was a question that I thought you'd find funny." And I told my partner it was really the first time I got a chance to talk to him, because I don't talk to him because you find your seat, you sit down, unless you're having some kind of issue, you really don't really speak to him head to head. And I got to talk to him today saying, "Hey, I'm going to be at this table." He goes, "Okay, so what we're going to do is, they'll go through all the big wigs. So all of, ESPN and ABC and Bay News 9 and all the big news stations, Channel 10 News, they'll go through them first. And then we have you." And I'm like, "Brian, I will sit here all day. If I get the opportunity to interview these guys, I'll sit here till 7:00 tonight. I'm not going nowhere. Like, I'm going to sit here until I get my opportunity."
If you had to stay until 10:00 tonight, and you'd have been like, "Hey guys, we're not having a show tonight. I'm busy with that." Just, "Yes, sir. Call me in a couple hours and we'll figure it out, because this is so cool." Dude, it's so cool. I gotta say, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished over the last few years and everything. And I just say, I know right after your mom died, and you were thinking about hanging it up, you weren't feeling very successful, and you were struggling, and it wasn't going the way you wanted. And I talked to you about it. Like, I was like, "Well, if you don't like it, then shut it down. Because like, if you're not having fun, I'm not having fun. Like, if this isn't fun for you, and you're just miserable, and you feel like you're spinning your wheels, well, then just say that, and we'll quit. We'll shut it down. And if you want to bring it back, we'll bring it back. And if you don't, then I'll find something to do with my Thursday nights. It'll be all right. I don't want you to shut it down.
Neither do I.
But
don't plan on it.
But if no, this was years, a few years ago when we were struggling more than we are now. I mean, it's not like we're like doing gangbusters or anything. We get 10 views, I'm like tickled pink.
Me too. Like if I get 10 views on YouTube, I'm like, "Yes, good, we did something right."
Not get anything.
Yeah. So, but and it was like when I was trying to explain it to you, and I still struggle to explain why I like doing this. Because people ask me, like, I tell them I do a podcast on Thursday nights, and I tell them about some of the guests we've had and how cool it's been to have some of the people we've had on, whether we've had good interactions with our guests or poor interactions with our guests. But getting to meet some of the people getting to talk to some of the people, and Nicole or Branson, like I said, or you, and all the stuff that you've accomplished outside of the show, and your writing is so much better. I was reading your article about the Super Bowl the other day, and your writing is like night and day from where you were like 3 years ago, where your writing was, I don't want to say bad, but it was sloppy. It was
right.
Well, I hate to say this, but if you talk to Ralph Garcia, he will tell you that, and I'm not afraid to say this because I'm not saying anything abusive or that's going to get me in trouble or get me thrown off air. I'm not on the NCAA and the FCC anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But when I first started writing, he told me that my writing sucked big black dick. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
He said, but as soon
Mhm.
as I let you write what you wanted to write, he said, I saw you get better. He said, and now everything has changed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not using AI to help me because I am. I'm not afraid to admit that. So there is that.
Okay.
But I like them better when I'm able to put my notes like I did today. The article that will go up tomorrow most likely will be about what I witnessed today, what I went through
Right.
today in media day. But those are my notes that I, after interviews, watching those videos 4 or 5 times myself, going back and asking Coach Hartline and Wyatt and Grayson those questions, I just took the answers and put them into notes, and then I have a great article that will go up tomorrow
Yeah. No.
about that. But yeah, my writing has gotten better. I have, the one thing, but I'll be honest with you, and I know with social media, I was listening to the radio today on my way to media day locally here in Tampa, and Lane Kiffin has gotten off social media altogether. He shut it
Wow.
completely down since he's moved to LSU. And there's a lot of us out there that wish we could do that because if you think about it, we're always trying to compare ourselves. Oh, well, here's my vacation.
Yeah.
But, oh, well, it's not great because this person did this on their vacation.
Well,
You know,
I don't think social media has anything to do with it. The Rolling 70 years, 50 years ago, the Rolling Stones were talking about how you weren't a real man if you didn't smoke the same cigarettes as me. So I mean, I don't think that social media has had. I just think that's human nature. That it's the keeping up with the Joneses has always been a thing.
Yeah.
And comparing yourself to the haves and the have-nots, and I think it's a very American thing to be unsatisfied with your current state, always trying to chase your bag, always trying to get your bag, never being satisfied.
Now,
It's one thing that makes Americans different than other people groups over the years and other places in the world is the fact that Americans are always trying to be better, to make something better, to be cooler, to be more influential, to be, to work a little bit harder than the other guy, to have a little bit nicer house, to have a little bit nicer car, to have a little bit nicer state. I just think it's an inherently American thing. I can't say that social media has made it any better or worse. It's made it more visible, I think is the word that I would like to use because what what it has taken is that this the 24-hour news cycle is that it's not that we're living in unprecedented times, we're living in unprecedented access to the times.
correct.
You know 100 years ago something could happen in LA and you might not hear about it for 3 days because news had to travel via train. And then 100 years before that everything was on horse. And from
right.
like 1780 on back, everything was traveled by horse. Word traveled by horse. So and then and or boat. And so like if you wanted to send a note to somebody, let's say you had a friend, let's say you lived in the same city as your best friend. Your best friend lived 20
Yes.
minutes down the road. It was a 20-minute horse ride, like a 40-minute walk. If you wanted to send them a note, it might take, it takes 20 minutes for them to get it. It takes 20 minutes to get it back to you. So,
Well,
the only difference between then and the big difference between then and now is the instant access to constant community and the distance and the shrinking of distance. Like, even 20 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. Like Zoom didn't exist. In
right.
2006, we couldn't have done this in 2006 because the technology just didn't
Well,
exist yet.
We would have to use, I think Skype may have been around in 2006.
Yeah, I think Skype was around.
yeah, I think it was.
Skype was in its infancy. I just think, and I think, I'm not saying that Lane Griffin's that either side is right or wrong. if Lane doesn't want to have social media, if he thinks that's better for his mental health, if he feels like that's the way he wants to go, then that's his prerogative.
Right.
I just hate when people get up there and make themselves like I'm so much better than you because I don't have social media. Like, no, you're not. You're not any better than anybody. You're just different. You're not some virtuous. Your
Yeah.
virtuousness, if that's a word, isn't beholden to whether you have. If Lane doesn't want to have social media, that's his prerogative.
It's
He doesn't have
fine.
to have social media. If he thinks that makes his life better, that's cool. Good for him.
Yes.
If you only want to use it 1 hour a day, if you're like and if it causes problems for you, where it's interfering with your ability to do your everyday daily tasks, like going to work, getting a shower, brushing your teeth, then yeah, it might be a problem. But if it's a problem because you think because you've been conditioned to believe it's a problem, because you want to believe it's a problem, because you want to feel superior than everybody else, because I don't have social media, so therefore I am more superior than you. Then
Really
no,
not.
now you're the problem.
Yes.
Well,
Listen here, sweetheart.
yeah, I was the I was getting to the point that I was making is
Yeah, I'm
that
sorry.
oh, you're okay, but is I we first started doing this, when I first did it alone, and then you guys came on through the years, and now we've had Jim Branson and Nicole, and I'm hoping that Nicole will go on to be an LPGA Tour star, and we can say, you know what, we interviewed her when she was just coming up, and we can go
Yeah.
Hmm.
back and look at that through the years. I'm really, guys, really excited about Matthew next week. Matthew Brower, who, if you don't know who he is, he served prison time for the largest sports gambling heist ever. Like, he served
Oh, I
prison
think I
time.
heard that.
Now I met this
Yeah.
guy through Dana Smith, who I've never met in person. I met him on Facebook or LinkedIn. I don't remember which. I'm gonna
Hmm.
meet Dana face to face on August 1st. I've never
Okay.
met the guy. I've only talked to him on the phone. I know him and Matt both live out on the West Coast. So I told Matt, I'm
Mm.
like, okay, we're on Eastern time. So it's gonna be 5
5
p.m.
o'clock.
Pacific time out in Cali. So I told him, I'm like, he's like, no, I'm good. We had a conversation. I'll send you guys all the show links that he's already been on. He's wrote
Okay.
2 books. One book he
Okay.
Okay.
wrote before he went to prison. The other book he wrote when he got out of prison. And the guy's
Okay.
got a 5-year-old kid. I was talking to him on the
Mm.
phone earlier this week. He was getting his son ready to pick the son up from daycare. So the guy's got a son, and stuff like that. So Dana's
Wow.
going to help us get more big interviews. That's kind of like the
Hey,
theme.
whoever he
Um,
wants to get us.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
So
know.
what I'm trying to do behind the scenes, and,
Hmm.
and I'm not afraid to tell you guys this, is
And
I
and
want
if
to
you don't
try
want
to
to say
get
anything on the air, that's fine.
right. Yeah. So I want
Yeah.
to try to get this to be some kind of monetary for all of us, not just
I'm
me,
just
but
happy
for
to.
the three of us.
I'm
So
just here so I don't get fined.
if
Right.
if Dana can help us, if Dana can help us get big interviews that are going to get us YouTube money or Facebook
Right.
money or whatever it might be,
Wow.
I'm willing to interview those people. Um,
Whatever. I like to think I'm a good interviewer. I like having guests on an interview. I like having actual guests. The thing that I like about it more than just the random yahoos that you hear on your. Now, I don't listen to morning drive talk radio much anymore, if ever.
Right.
Like, only if my phone's dead. But normally I don't listen to, like, the chat radio shows anymore, like I used to growing up.
Yeah.
Long time listener, first time caller type thing. Um, I like not having to have those kind of guests, where we take one question and hang, and you get some local Yahoo who has no idea what the hell they're talking about. I like having professional guests on that where we can sit down and pick their brain and really dig into the meat and potatoes of what they do and
Yes.
what
That's
happened to them and
very
how
ethic
they.
too.
And that's one thing that I love about that I love about having Nicole on, and having her and her coming up with her and watching her career as she's gotten older. And I know she's not but 21 now, but
22. She just turned 22
22,
the other day.
same difference. What's 2 weeks among friends? you know,
Yeah.
having the ability to have her on, having her being a professional, and I enjoy interviewing her. When we had the lacrosse guys on, every guest we've had on, save that one guest, but that was not our fault. It was our other
I was
former
gonna
associate of this.
I was gonna say the only bad
Yeah.
guest that we've ever had was the night that we had our former co-host on.
Associate.
Right.
That's no longer part of the network. And again, I'm
Yeah.
not getting into that whole thing that's already been
No, we
cleared.
don't have to get any more into that. But
yeah, so that was really the only one that we've had that's been bad. I mean, most of them have been, and I told Matt, I said, you can be on for 15 minutes, you can be on for the full 2 hours. I'm not
Yeah.
going to hold you back. And I told him, I said, Matt and B, you can be as forthcoming as you want to. And I really
whatever you want
think
to
that
answer.
there really is nothing that, I mean, obviously we're not going to ask him about prison. I mean, we can,
Not really.
but I
mean,
don't
if he
really
wants,
need to know what happened to him in prison. I don't need to know what your prison life was like. This isn't Shawshank Redemption. I don't need to
right,
know.
right.
I don't need to
And
know.
I would
So,
never, I would never stop a guest from one. If they want to get into something that happened to them, then we can get into it. We don't have to discuss it, but we're
Yeah.
like
Right.
more than willing to talk about to take the conversation wherever you want to take it.
let's go. Yeah, true. Yep.
And
Yeah.
that, well, and it was something that this is something that I've always done. I've always approached interviews like this before. I even knew what I was doing, and I didn't realize I knew what I was doing until I realized I knew what I was doing. So I was watching Marty Smith. I don't know if you're familiar with Marty Smith,
The name
but he was
rings
a
a bell.
NASCAR reporter,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and he was breaking into. He was at ESPN. ESPN had just gotten their contract with NASCAR back, and they just re-upped with NASCAR in the mid 2000s. And he was interviewing Jeff Gordon, and Jeff was on. He was Marty had all these questions, and wanted to take the conversation in a certain direction. And Jeff would start to give an answer, and Marty would cut him off and try to steer the conversation. And a few weeks, he thought, cut print, send it, and put it out there. Interview goes live. He thinks he's done a great job. And, he's walking back. He's in, he's there somewhere. I forget where he said they were, but they're at the track. And he's headed to the media, the media center. He's getting ready to do NASCAR stuff for ESPN. Dale Jr. I think it's been a minute since I've watched the interview. I believe this is how he told the story. He's headed to the media interview, gives a hand on his shoulder, big hand, turns him around, and it's Dale Jr. And Marty Smith has known Dale Jr. for like 10 years at this point. They grew up together. They came into the sport together. They came up together, and they've been close. And so Dale Jr. He's like, you need to shut up. And Marty Smith, the way he tells the story, Dale Jr. told me I needed to shut up. And I think he may have said you need to shut the fuck up. But this is his story, not mine. This is me telling you this story that I heard. So and Marty was taken aback. He's like, I was ready to swing on Dale Jr. And Dale went on to explain that, every time he cut Jeff off, this being Jeff Gordon, that every time you cut Jeff off, Jeff was about to explain something, and you just wouldn't let him finish his thought. And this is that's how I've always approached my interviews. Is that I want to ask open-ended questions that allow the guests to go wherever they think they need to go, wherever they want to go with it. Answer the question, and then if I have any redirects or any follow-ups, whenever they stop talking, and I might, I'm with being a kind of a time delay show where we're not like in person. Like it's different if you're in person. You can gauge when people are finished talking a little bit easier than you can on the internet because of lag and whatever. So I will if our guest stops talking or our interviewer or interviewee stops talking, then I might give the rest of the group a chance to voice their own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then
Let's just hope that doesn't turn into like a Chris Robinson or something from 30 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry.
Jim Everett,
Okay, Chris.
Well, and
I want to beat the fuck out of him.
and now thinking back to that, but the whole thing of didn't letting Jeff finish his sentences or his answer to the question. That's what our former associate did that night. He wouldn't let the guy finish what he was saying before he asked the next question. He cut him off too many times, and like I said, I mean we've had sports dentists on here before and let the guy talk.
That was a fun interview. Yeah.
That was.
And then we had the guy, the muscle guy, who, by the way, just recently announced him and his wife are having a baby. So I linked him on Facebook. I still follow him, Mike Robles. Still follow him on Facebook. But yeah, we've had people like that. So, what it comes down to is, you're right. When you're interviewing somebody and you're right. Today, I could tell when they were done talking. When they were done talking, then I would, in a way, being on here, like you said, we're in delay. So we don't always know when the person's done talking. Where in person, and that's what Matt wanted to do. And I'm like, well, the only problem, Matt, with that is, I don't know where I can meet you where it would be quiet enough for the two of us to talk, number one. Because even if we go to a sports bar during the afternoon, there's going to be TV noise, people talking in the background. Then you think, okay, a library. Well, is the library going to let you talk for an hour when you're supposed to be quiet? That's a quiet place. You're not supposed to go there and talk. So there's really not too many places you can meet to be quiet, to have a quiet time.
Trying to do it in a park or some outdoor space, you have to bring the recording equipment and lugging all of that around, and the proper mics and getting that set up, and actually it's South Florida in July, so it's hot as fuck.
Yep, and it is.
and if you from 3 to 8, you could get anywhere from no rain to 3 feet of rain. So
correct.
Yes.
So doing it outside when any kind of if there's any kind of weather, if it's windy, and making it sound good. So
because I mean, like I said, he wanted to do it in person. The only problem with in person is where he's going to be in Florida. He is coming down to Florida to do 2 interviews. He's 5 hours from me. I'm not driving 5 hours to interview you for what, an hour, and then I got to drive back. That's not worth my time to drive down there. Now, if Dana was paying me, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different story.
Or it was somebody, and I don't mean to disparage, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but if it was like John Gruden or somebody, then yeah.
And that was another thing that was cool about Media Day Today too, to be within
seeing distance, man.
Gruden. I should have, because there was in between his talks on his podcast. I don't know why I didn't go over there and at least shake his hand, introduce myself, and hand him a card.
I didn't know if you could, man.
But I didn't know if you could. I see, that was my fear too, bud, because of how big of a guy big in the sports world he is. It's a little bit different to go, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to interview John Gruden next week. I think if we interviewed somebody like that, we would have humongous views. Because everybody on YouTube, everybody would be everywhere going, oh my God, they're interviewing John Gruden. So
if we can get if we got Gruden, I'd shit a brick, man, because that would be the coolest interview.
All I can do, guys, is if John happens to be there tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to be there tomorrow or not.
I don't know.
But if he is, and I get a chance to get 5 minutes with him, I might. All he can do is tell me no. The worst thing he can tell me is like,
just ask. Tell him like I always said, like. We're a small fish in a big pond. We're 3 nobodies, not worth your time. But if you got 15 minutes on a Thursday night, And because that's the thing, I think I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste our time. 15 minutes is a standard interview block for TV and radio. That's why I asked for 15 minutes. Give us 15 minutes like you would anybody else.
Yes.
We're not taking. Well, we won't. We're not taking money. You're not taking money. Well, we won't pay. I strictly won't pay. Unless we get unless we get to the point where we're able to pay interviewees. But at this point, we're not in a financial position to be able to pay for interviews. But but we're not going to pay. We're not asking you to pay. We're just asking for 15 minutes. And then of course, that 15 minutes is the minimum.
Right.
If you want to stay around for 20 minutes, if you want to stay around for 2 hours, whatever you have available is really cool with us. We've had whether you were the random guy that we had on, we've had a couple of different authors on with random books that have been really fun to talk to. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if we did get John, I think that would be the biggest interview we've ever done. Out of anybody. Matt's going to be a big one next week because he has a huge following, obviously, with his story.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat get.
But I mean, yeah, I would love to have Von Allen on again. I need to get in contact with him.
Yeah, I haven't.
To have him.
I don't know if he's still. I don't even know if he still does anything. I haven't checked on his.
I don't even know if the group page is even still active. I don't even know.
Yeah,
honestly,
I don't know because I thought I fell out. I didn't have a falling out with those guys. I just moved on because they stopped doing stuff.
Right.
And getting him back on.
Yeah,
would be really cool.
He's still active. Well, the page is still active. It looks like and I think John Thomas Chavez was one of his big contributors. He's an all-star contributor on here.
Yeah. When was the last post though?
The last post was 4 days ago.
Okay, so it's still fairly active.
About FIFA rigging the World Cup. Ha ha ha. Go figure. I'm not the only one that way. Thank you. I'm not the only one in the world that feels that way.
No.
But I don't
see.
I don't see anything from. I'm going through right now. They're talking about AJ Brown being traded to the Patriots. I know Von Allen was a Patriot guy with Tom.
Yeah. He's a big Tom Brady guy.
But I don't see anything. He's got the the UFL's on here too. Wow, I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I mean, there is stuff being posted. I haven't posted them. I guess maybe I should go back to posting my stuff on here. But if they will even allow it,
approve it.
Yeah. I'm very, very fond of the page, which they're part of the network that I'm on. And that would be, let me pull my Facebook up here real quick. That would be the show of they're called Hot Pod Sports Show. I've known those two.
Yeah.
I've known those two for a long time.
So have I.
Every time that I put anything on their page, they approve it immediately. Usually it's approved immediately. So we're getting their viewership on there. I mean, I could try to post this show tonight on Von Allen. If it gets approved, then I'm good. Because I think I can still message him through the page. But again, I know the last time we talked to him, he was in a different country. He was in Bulgaria. And I don't know what the time difference is, how far ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if he's back in the States yet or not. He's in school.
Right. And then
where's he located?
He was in Latveria or something like that.
He was in a different country, Lou. I don't remember which.
He was going to school in Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe.
Okay.
Yep.
So anywhere between 5 and 7 hours time from New York.
And then I have a guy that sent me a book about football from Australia, and they're a day ahead of us. Like it's
Mhm.
already 9:15 in the morning on Friday morning in Australia. Like it's
Yes.
already Friday because he would call me all the time on the show before I had you guys come on. He'd say, "Hey mate, happy Friday," and I'm like, "What? It's Thursday."
Not
He
for
goes,
us.
no, not in Australia. It's not." He goes, "It's Friday." I'm like, "Okay, you're calling me from the future." Like
Yeah.
you're calling me from the future.
And
So
where
yeah,
you are, it's winter.
yeah. So, but no, yeah. Back and to get back to that, I think I took a lot of the negative comments from the people that were writing negative stuff about the show and my writing to heart. And I've learned through
Mhm.
you guys and through Ralph and basically, my girlfriend and my family and my friends and all that. You're doing your job right when you get negative comments. You're pissing
Yeah.
somebody off. So somebody's pissed off, and you're not going to make everybody happy. That's not the way the world works. So somebody's going to be mad. Someone's going to make a comment about, "Oh, your writing is shitty. Oh, your podcast is stupid. You don't have anybody on worth any." Okay, then don't listen. But you know what? Thank you for the view.
Thanks
Thank
for the
you
view on the
Thanks a
comment.
lot.
for the view on the article because guess what? That helped me get out there more. So
Yes.
Yeah.
those are the things, back when I lost my mom 5 years ago, those were the things
Yeah.
that I was going through at that
Wow.
time
Yeah.
was, is it worth it anymore to do this if all I'm getting out of it is I'm taking the negative stuff to heart? And,
Right.
like my boss, my partner would tell me at the time he was my boss, I'm my partner now because, now I'm a partner on the website. He would tell me, "Brad, you have to stop worrying about what everyone's saying to you, man." He goes, "Take it as a read." He goes, "And that's it. But don't respond to them because if you respond, that's how they win. They win by
Mhm.
you responding back to them. They
I went
want
through the
you
same thing.
to, yeah, and Lou, you've been at this longer than I have, but
Yeah.
they want you to
Yeah.
respond.
Engage.
That's what they want
Yeah.
to do. That, oh, well, look,
Yeah.
he called me that, or he responded that way. Look how much of an a-hole he is. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
and it's like, well, wait a minute. You were the a-hole before I was.
That's
You
Yeah.
right.
started
Yeah.
this whole conversation.
I
Mhm.
mean,
So,
You
this
know.
jerk. I was right. Okay, Benny has a website, and I do like
Mhm.
the women's scores of WNBA and what happens in WNBA and stuff. And this idiot comes on like, "You're writing stuff that nobody gives two shits about. What the blanky blank is?" I'm like, "Shut up!" And this
yeah.
guy kept repeating himself. I'm like, "Look, I know everybody's got a nemesis somewhere, but this guy was a complete dick."
Well,
Well.
and it gets to, I didn't mean to interrupt Adam there, but
No.
you know
No.
what
Go
it'll
ahead.
do, what? Is it,
I talk.
they'll never say that to your face. They'll say it to you on here. They'll never say
Mhm.
that to you to
This
your
is
face.
fine.
Period. They'll never say that shit to your face. They don't have, I mean, some people will. Some people have the balls too, but most of them won't.
Well, and I think a lot about doing this and having negative comments or positive comments doesn't really matter. When you get to a certain point, and it's something Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, and I know I've told this story a gazillion times on this show, but it's one of my favorite Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt moments. Dale Gordon, whoever he might be. You know, in 90, so when Gordon comes along in 92, his first race was Richard Petty's last race. Oh, and Petty's gone, so it's Dale's. Dale's the man. He wins those championships. Gordon comes along in 95 and he's getting cheered. He's winning. He wins a whole bunch. 96 comes along. He keeps winning and now he's getting booed. And he went from being this beloved figure who was toppling the evil empire that was Dale Earnhardt to becoming the evil empire.
Mm-hmm.
And he went up to Dale one day and he was like, "Why do they hate me?" And Dale looked
Yeah.
at him and he went, "Don't worry about when they cheer. Don't worry about when they boo. Be worried when they say nothing."
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Nice. Yes.
whether they hate you or they love you. And I know this is something I told Brad. But,
I
I
love to
told
hate
Lou.
you.
I've told all my other podcasting friends. It's like whether they boo you or they cheer you, it's still a view. And I know I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of posting negative comments. I'm guilty. I post troll comments like when the
Yeah.
Petty Piblet, whatever his name is, the who I'm talking about, the UFC guy whose name I
Mm-hmm.
cannot say. apparently.
Paddy Pimblett is a guy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Right.
him. Oh, he got the submission win, and I just posted a troll comment. I was like, "Boo! Stand up and fight!" I was just trolling.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't being serious. I was just trolling, and I got the reaction I wanted. I made them mad. I made them mad. That's the reaction I want. I just wanted to make you mad. Like I
Yeah.
know it was a great win, but I hate this kind of rest. I just don't like I in combat sports, like if it's not wrestling, I mean wrestling, if it's not wrestling, I don't want to watch
Right.
wrestling. I want to watch you punch each other in the face or kick each
Right.
other in the face or like stand up and strike.
Or
I like
jewels.
well, maybe, but that seems like a totally different kind of combat sport. Oh, totally different website you watch that on.
No. I may hurt a little bit, but still, I mean, if you deserve it, you deserve it.
Well,
That's it.
and speaking of Paddy Pimblett, I just put an article out about his possible next 5 opponents, and I got a high view count from the website.
Good.
So
Good for you. Good for you.
But again, I like him as a UFC.
Oh
fighter.
yeah, I know.
I mean, the one of the reasons I really love to talk about him, or I like him, is I don't know, I remember, and I think I wrote an article about that too. I think a few years ago he wrote about, or he talked about in a post fight talk with Joe Rogan, who I'd love to have Joe Rogan on my show anytime. Joe, you can come on if you're out there listening to the Small Fish. Joe, I'd love to have you on my show anytime of the week. But and he mentioned something about that he had lost a friend to mental health. We talked about this on the show at the time that it happened, and I really, because you don't think guys in that sport would ever talk about their
right in that world,
or their feelings like that. So it was kind of cool for him to come out and say, "Yeah, I lost a friend to mental health. We all need to, if we're feeling down, depressed, there's always help there. Go get it, because it's not worth you doing something stupid, ending your life, or whatever they call it now.
Not worth it.
You're hurting more people than just yourself. There's a lot of people that will be affected if you do that. Now, again, I'm not going to say that we can stop everybody that has mental health issues. You can't, because they have to accept the help if they decide to go get it.
Right.
That's the decision that they have to make.
Step.
But yes, I understand in a way why. I mean, you look at the last fight that he won by a submission.
Yeah,
there was no punches thrown. He won by submission because
30 seconds.
Yeah, because Benoit Saint Denis came at him. He got him in a hold and put him away. But again,
like
in wrestling, we also have submission guys. I mean, look at
right.
I don't want to mention his name, but Chris Benoit was a great.
Well, maybe not. Maybe
Bret Hart.
Let's go with Jericho.
Yeah,
I like Jericho.
The walls of Jericho.
I forgot about Jericho. Yes, the walls of Jericho. Absolutely.
He was a great submission ref, but no, I was just trolling the internet because I just thought I was playing that on Sunday morning because everybody was going crazy because
you're looking for, Bud. Though I like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was looking to piss people off, and I got what I wanted. I'm like, and they're like, "You suck. You're stupid." I was like, I know. I'm rolling your dumb ass. I'm like,
I wanted that reaction.
I was looking to ruffle feathers because, like, I'm a boxing fan. I prefer boxing over MMA. I'm a much bigger boxing fan over MMA. I like a good, if you show, like if it's a standing bang fight, if you show me like a GSP and Randy Couture standing in the middle of the ring just trading shots, that I like. I'll tune in for that every day of the week. But and the Pivot thing went with him taking him to the ground and putting him out in 30 seconds. I mean, that's not the worst thing ever. I hate fights that just end up on the ground and it's all ground control, it's all groundwork. It's like dude, just stand them up and make them fight. Like this is stupid and boring.
Well,
You're just wrestling.
and speaking of
And
boxing, there's a big match coming up later this year. You're going to have Joshua Fury. I'm going to watch that. I'll watch that fight any day of the
So
week.
I.
I'm looking forward to those two because
Anthony
Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury. Yeah. So
Is there a
Tyson
date with that
Fury.
yet?
Okay.
I
Is there a
think,
date set it?
let me look, Lou. Let me look. I believe
Yeah.
I know
I
there's
think there was, but let me look real quick. Let
Okay.
me see exactly if there is a date. Actually,
I know there
I'm on the website right now, my website right now, and I wrote about Charlie Woods. I mean, Tiger's son,
Yeah.
him not making the cut at the U.S.
Yeah.
Amateur.
17.
Yeah, he's going to play at Florida State. He's already committed to playing at Florida State.
Right.
Let's see.
But when I was 17, I played a little bit of golf when I was 17. More 18, not so much 17. But when I would have been. I was happy when I hit the ball straight. For Christ's sake.
So as of right now, there's been no official date announced, but it will
Okay.
be targeted to be in October or November. So
Okay.
give or take
All
3 or
right.
4 months from now, we
Right,
can
and that's
definitely preview the fight
okay.
on here. And it's going to be at Wembley Stadium. Obviously, that's
In
Okay.
London.
Hell yeah.
Organizers are pushing for a 2 a.m. UK ring time, which would be 9 p.m. our time at night. So that would be great because then I'll stay up and watch it. Because, I mean, if it's any time in the morning, unless I go to bed early and then get up early in the morning, like the Open Championship was on at 4 a.m.
Right.
I'm a golf fan, but I'm not that much of a golf fan. I'm going to get up and
No.
watch golf at 4 o'clock in the morning, especially when I have to go to work. No.
Right.
No.
And
But
double
yeah,
play.
so, I mean, talking about
Yeah.
boxing, and I know my partner Ralph, he wrote recently about how boxing changed with Ali and Frazier. That was kind of
Yep.
the way that boxing changed. Now, I wouldn't even really consider the third bout really anything. I think that was the throw in Manila, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was their third fight. The first two, I think, were the main ones because you had Frazier beat Ali, which was a shocking revelation because Ali talked shit, but Frazier backed his shit up and hit him, and he won the fight. And then Ali beat him in the second match that they had, and then of course
Rumble in the Jungle.
Ali won the throw in Manila. But
3 great fights. I
mean, and if you want to go, Bud, one night where we go back and look at all the great boxing matchups, we could do that.
Absolutely.
I have no problem doing. I mean, I'm not a boxing fan, but I love Ali. I'm just, Muhammad. Ali's gone. Obviously, he passed away.
And I'm a much bigger Smoking Joe fan. I was a Joe Frazier guy, so I'm a Frazier guy. I'm a Foreman guy. I love me some George Foreman.
He won the title in his career again.
Yes, he did. Came back at 44 to win the title in 1994
against who did he beat? Michael Moore, I think, was the boxer he beat.
Was it Moore?
Yeah, because I remember watching the HBO documentary about that fight. It was Foreman Moore, I think he beat, because Teddy Atlas was Moore's coach, the main coach in the corner. And he told him do not go out there in the last round and stand in front of him, because that's what Foreman wants you to do, is stand in front of him. If you don't,
you're right,
you win the fight, because he was up in the scorecards. Moore had beaten George, because again, Foreman was near the end of his career. Foreman was past his prime years and all that stuff. And yes, Foreman lost in Rumble in the Jungle because Ali used the rope-a-dope, and that's the end of that. But Foreman would win. Foreman had beat Frazier. I mean, he dominated Joe Frazier to win the title. But in the Moore fight, he told him, don't stand in the middle of the ring. Well, Michael Moore said, I'm doing this. I'm going to fall on my shield. And George Foreman knocked him out and won the title back. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, but if you want to do like the next 2 weeks we have, obviously we have guests on, so we can let's see, that would be the second week I think in August, because we got Matt on next week, which would be the 30th.
Yeah.
We got Betty on the 6th. So we can aim for August 13th as a boxing show if you want to.
That's fine with me. Hell yeah.
We'll do that on the 13th. And I'll go back and, we can each pick our top 5 fights. If you want to go do that, we can each do that. I'll pick my top 5 fights of all time. And even if you want to kind of go a little Hollywood, we could even talk about boxing movies in general, if you want to go that far too. With Ali, with the fighter, with Mark Wahlberg, I forget the fighter's name that he portrayed in that movie. But yeah, we can talk about boxing movies in general too.
Sure.
So yeah, we could do that too. So we could break that down. But yeah, I don't mind. So guys, early announcement, if everybody's watching YouTube or anybody out there, in 3 weeks on August 13th, we're going to be doing a boxing show on here. We're going to talk about boxing. But
it'll be a knockout for sure.
There you go, Lou. I like that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be cool. I think we can definitely do something like that. But I think with with boxing, and the reason I think that boxing's not as popular anymore is because UFC came on came out of nowhere, and now it's popular. Now with everything else, but I'll watch both as long as I know that the boxing matches are worth, like you said, they're worth watching, because some of them are just boring as hell to watch. And I'm glad that Anthony Joshua put what's his name in his place.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, thank you. I was gonna think Logan Paul's been cleared to wrestle in WWE again. Jake Paul in his place. And said, okay, so Jake, you want to be a full-time boxer? Well, now you got to face what a full-time boxer is like. You're not facing guys that are at the end of their career or has-beens that were never around, in the boxing world and everything else. So that was kind of cool that happened. And again, I'm not picking on Jake Paul or Logan Paul. You know what? They're going to keep doing their thing. And you know why? Because people will watch. People tune in. They have a huge social media crowd that love them. They're not going to go away just because you hate them, like you were mentioned earlier. Yeah. But everybody hates them. They're not going away. They're not going away unless something happens to them. They're not going away because of who they are. So, I mean, there's a bunch of people that hate Logan Paul because they think he's a celebrity wrestler. But you know what? Right. Logan's a hell of a wrestler. If you watch him in his matches, as he's gotten more and more used, or more and more having more and more matches, he gets better and better every match out. He gets better and better. And of course, now I think he had elbow surgery or something in his arm that he had to have surgery, and he's been cleared to get back in the ring. Of course, he's part of the Vision with Braun Breaker and Austin Theory and Paul Heyman. And I think they might have a tag team match at SummerSlam. Not sure. I don't think that card is completely solidified yet. I know there are some matches that are there. Obviously, you got Io Sky and Liv Morgan going for that. And Rhea Ripley has to give the belt up again. The injury that she has, the belt is now, there's going to be a tournament that will be concluded at SummerSlam. And it sucks because I love Rhea, and it sucks that she once again has an injury that's going to keep her out of wrestling for a while. But I know when she comes back, there'll be no doubt that she'll probably be the champion once again. So I think she's one of those people who needs a title. I think it's kind of hard not to give her one. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard. Like if you watch AEW or TNA or AEW with Toni Storm, it's kind of hard to see her without a belt. Like Tony's like the Rhea Ripley of AEW. That's just my opinion in their women's division.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we get the card for SummerSlam solidified, which probably should have that next week because the pay-per-view is August 1st. It's the 1st and the 2nd of August. We should have the solidified card, I would think, by next week. So we'll know the night that we interview Matt. And again, he may be on here for a full 2 hours. If he's not, we can go through the card together next week.
Sure, yeah.
Talk about SummerSlam.
Yeah.
If not, then we can just talk about the results. When Betty's on here talking about the WNBA, when she wants to get off, we can then talk about the results for SummerSlam and then say, now we believe this is the next opponent for this guy. I noticed that Joe Hendry helped Danhausen the other night.
I didn't see that, yeah.
Those two might be developing a tag team or a relationship.
That would be good. That would be good. The Raw needs another tag team that can challenge.
Well,
I would love that.
I think those guys are both cool. I really do. Again, Danhausen's grown on me. I didn't even know who he was when he first came in, but he's a guy that's grown on me with "You Are Cursed."
Yeah,
I think that's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
that he said that. But and of course, I love Joe Hendry from when he was in TNA, and now
I'm huge
in WWE. So yeah.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about last week. I think there are too many superstars. There are too many bodies on WWE television right now. And the problem is they don't have enough things for them to do. 2 hours, so it's 120 minutes of television time for 60+ guys. Not everybody is going to get TV time every week. And to tell good story, because at the end of the day, what wrestling is it's a loose collection. This is how I look at wrestling, and feel free to correct me if you disagree, or just challenge me if you disagree. I see wrestling as a loose collection of interconnected storylines that tell a story through the medium of talking and fighting.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And to get to the point where the fights and for me, at the end of the day, I like the fighting more than the talk. The talking is important, but if the fighting is good, then I really couldn't give a shit if the talking is bad.
Right. Right.
But because the fighting, as we've gotten more away from the attitude, as we get further away from the attitude era, and one of my biggest complaints about WWE and about wrestling programming in general, not just WWE, but all of it, AEW, TNA, ROH, New Japan, the two jabronis in the backyard beating each other with bed sheets, whatever nonsense that goes on in your backyard wrestling shows that just really shouldn't be filmed and put out for public consumption. But for some reason it is that the wrestlers themselves aren't great actors.
Mm-hmm.
The good actors aren't great wrestlers, and the great wrestlers aren't good actors. And the combination of the two therein is necessary to have great wrestling matches. You have to be good on the mic, good in the ring, and I think that the fact that the writing for them has hampered the ability for the superstars to develop their own personalities in the ring. If I took over TKO tomorrow, the first thing I would do is I would fire the writers' room. You're all gone. Get out, collect your checks, clean out your desks, don't come back. Mm-hmm. Go to TNA and go ruin their lives. Start ruining mine. And I would sit each wrestler down and I would say, okay, Joe Hendry, who do you want to work with? Danhausen, who do you want to work with? Miz, who do you want to work with? And then I would have everybody pick 3. I would go to each wrestler, pick 3 guys, tell me who you want to work with. And just go around the locker room and have everybody give me 3 names. Who do you want to work with? And how do you see it playing out?
Yeah.
And then from there, I would make them all sit down and figure it out. Make a good story. Put it on TV, and whatever happens after that is what happens. Because I think the wrestlers themselves should be more involved in the creative process.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I think that it would make the product better. I think that's what makes wrestling. I think that's what made wrestling great in the before times, was that the wrestlers themselves were involved in the creative process, in the storytelling process, in the writing process, and that's what I want to get back to.
I think, buddy, I think the reason that Triple H is where he is today is because he was involved in his storyline. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that he wanted to be involved with with the great matches he had with Austin and The Rock and
Michaels,
guys like that. But that's where I think when he started going to writers meetings within the WWE, that's where he now sits today as the COO. And now he's the guy that's in charge of creative, which is great because I think, as we've talked about many times on here, we used to talk about wrestling, for 20 minutes? There are times we talk for an hour and a half about the WWE, about what storylines we think could happen and what we're excited about, where before we were like, we don't give a shit. It's all the same stupid people that have a title. It's the same guys winning at every pay-per-view. So it's changed a lot, obviously, since Triple H has taken over. I really don't think, honestly, that TKO would ever bring Vince back because of the PR nightmare that would be for them. I think their stock would go down masterfully, down terribly.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I couldn't see them bringing back Vince.
No, either could I.
And the other thing that I would do is that I would have 4 pay-per-views, one every quarter.
Right.
I would have Elimination Chamber in January.
Mania in April.
SummerSlam in August. And
what's the
Money in the Bank in October.
Money in the Bank. Yep. There you go. No, that'd be great. Those 4 are, I think, the big 4 of the because I mean, the other one you could throw in there if you wanted to throw a 5th one in there would be War Games. But outside of
Night
that,
of Champions.
Shall we play a game?
Outside of that, yeah.
I got that. I caught that.
I had to do it. I know,
Want to
wrong
play
War Games.
a game?
I know.
I love. Is that a War Games reference? Maybe. Yeah, no, I would, because then what I would do is that I would have, because this is what like this year, like if I was made CEO, if I was made head of TKO tomorrow, I would tell everybody, I would come out and I would have a great big press conference. I would say, this in December, we're wrapping up everything we have going right now. And then in January, we're starting fresh. Everything is going to go away. Everybody's stripped of everything. All the titles are up for grabs. And we're going to work storylines to tell it. We're going to rework. And then every Raw and SmackDown is building to the pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And instead of pay-per-views, this is how I think pay-per-views should be done. As pay-per-views are blow-offs. Pay-per-views are payoffs for being loyal to the wrestling content during the regular season. Like each pay-per-view, that's the word I was looking for. PLE. Each PLE, I would tell the WWE universe, PLEs are exclusively to conclude storylines. And the Monday and Friday after each PLE are to start newer storylines. Do not be surprised if there are not that storylines conclude at the PLE. That's what I'm intending to have them do. Storylines will conclude. Storylines will be brought to their conclusion so that new storylines can start at the going into the next PLE.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you have these 2-3 month long buildups, and then you can work more changes during the regular. That's what I would do. I would call it the regular season. During the regular season, you have these buildups. When you have, and then you could have titles change hands on a Monday night, on a Friday night. Then it's must see TV. You don't know. Hey, Roman Reigns is going to be out there wrestling Seth Rollins, and Seth might win the belt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. Tune in, because this shit is must see TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I would build the wrestling, so that you keep people tuned in. Because if you never know what's going to happen, because see, that's one thing that's made wrestling stale over the last 15 years, is that we know there's no reason to watch Monday. There's no reason to watch Friday. Catch the highlights. You ain't missed nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the pay-per-view. Watch the highlights, buy the pay-per-view, and then you'll see the title change hands. Because titles can't change hands on mainstream TV, on regular on Netflix, on USA or Fox or whatever the hell SmackDown is. I think they're on QVC at this point.
Yeah.
Having the ability for the belts to change hands 2 or 3 times going into a pay-per-view, how crazy would that be? It'd be almost like it was worth watching TV again.
Yeah, worth watching Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, well, true.
Because who knows?
Right.
You're fair. Joe Hendry might come out and beat Roman Reigns for the belt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. Other Family might come out and squash everybody like a bug.
Correct.
Speaking of a family crushing people like bugs, did you see that?
Obafemi. Who did he?
And JD McDonough.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What a waste.
To me, there's no way on God's green acre you let Brock Lesnar win at SummerSlam. There's
Forget it.
There's no way.
No, because
the reason why I say that is you put Oba over at WrestleMania. You let him beat Brock. He lost again at Night of Champions. I forget what pay-per-view they had another match at. And now you have the second biggest PLE behind WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Obafemi has to win. I doubt in Sam's hell they're going to let Brock Lesnar win, because Brock's on his way out. Oba's the next.
Right.
Oba, in a way, if you want to say it, Oba could be the next Brock. That guy that size, that's made to destroy people, that will win belt. And I think with Oba, right now, because he's so hot, he has to have a belt. Wow. Like, he has to. There has to be a way. He has a chance to win.
One thing in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing in the ring, he has an automatic title shot. He's gonna fight Lesnar in the rubber match of their feud at SummerSlam in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think he has to win. And Brock retires. I think this is Brock's last match. Brock retires after losing to Obafemi, because it makes fucking sense. Unlike John Cena losing to Gunther, which went absolutely fuck all nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like Gunther. Never liked Gunther. Don't like Gunther. Can't like Gunther.
I didn't like him either.
And him beating John Cena just pissed me the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
For nothing. It was like it wasn't even a good finish. It was stupid. It was a terrible finish. Like, if it had been a much, and the unfortunate thing, part of the unfortunate, it's just John Cena's 50 fucking years old. So he wasn't going to be wrestling like he was 25. And I understand that. I understand he wanted to have one last big blowout. He went out on his own terms. Whatever. Yeah. That's fine. He's a stupid kid, and I hate him for it. But he went out how he wanted to go out. Okay, fine, whatever. But the problem is that Gunther was not the guy to do it. Gunther is not. He had one that he comes back, calls John Cena a bitch, and then fucks off, and we don't see him. I'm like, what was the point of that? He could have just easily left and told a better story, because then you could have had him work with Dom, and like in my fantasy booking, in fantasy booking land, where I live, I'm at 123 book it this way lane or whatever.
Right.
You can find me at the corner of this is how you should have booked it, and why didn't we book it this way? The end is nigh. One of those cardboard sandwich lines that says the end is nigh. Um, you know, for me, it would have been much better storytelling. It would have been a much better story. It would have been a much more satisfying conclusion. John Cena beats Gunther, right? Gunther's all dejected and depressed and like doesn't know what to do with himself. And he comes out on Raw, and he goes and he's talking shit, and he's riling the crowd up, and they're booing, and they're making all kinds of noise. And he gets out of the ring and he's talking, he's walking and walking, he's doing all that good shit that he does. And here comes Dom. Dom's music hits, and he's got the IC title. He comes out, he does his thing, and he's like, "Yo, Gunther, you couldn't even beat John Cena." John, because he called John Gunther's, Gunther is out of the title, he's out of the heavyweight title conversation now because he didn't beat John Cena. And then he's like, oh, he comes out and he's like, oh, I need the title, blah blah blah, Gunther, whatever, blah blah blah. And then Don comes out and he's like, and then Don can come out and be like, you couldn't beat John Cena. What makes you think you don't even deserve the IC title? And then you could work the angle with Gunther and Dom. Then Gunther wins the IC title, which then he loses to but that puts him back in the main event, puts him back in contention for the main event, for the heavyweight title. And that would have been much better booking than him beating John Cena for no reason in a stupid ass way.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Gunther has a match at SummerSlam against Nick Aldis, who he can't stand, and Aldis is the GM of SmackDown. They don't get along.
Right. Why is the general manager of SmackDown Wrestling? You're the general manager. Have some more class than that.
That's a good question. I think it's, buddy, in all reality, I think it's just a way to fill out the card. They got to have those goofy matches in there.
Right.
Danhausen will face Dominic Mysterio, but there's a storyline to that because Dominic and the why can't I think of the damn name of that group now? Then they've been a group for a long time because it was developed
Judgment Day.
Edge. Judgment Day, thank you. By Edge, where Edge went to AEW. But Danhausen's been, fighting with them for the last month. So
yeah. Oh yeah, he's been fucking with them for a while.
Yeah, because he stole money from them and and stuff like that. So
yeah,
so that rivalry is, the story could come to its conclusion at SummerSlam. No matter if Dominic wins or Danhausen wins, it will then show, which way they're going to go. Like, okay, if the winner wins, then Danhausen goes on to being a tag team with Joe Hendry, or Dominic wins. Maybe it puts them back in the tag team title shot against the
you could
something like that.
What will probably happen, and this is how I would book it, is that you have JD get involved for the Judgment Day, and then Joe Hendry comes down and gets involved for Danhausen.
Yeah.
And that's probably how they'll do it.
No, I think I agree. I think that's gonna kind of be the way it'll be, and then maybe the next PLE you'll have a tag team match with McDonough and Mysterio versus Dan
Right.
Allison and Joe Hendry.
Well, you see that.
I think that's the build to that. But do you guys want to call it there? And
we can call it there.
All right.
Lou, talk to us about your show.
All right. And Sports Show, Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Number to call is 512-543-4662. Got a lot of recap into this week. You know we're going to discuss the World Cup. Well, I know I will. How it became such a big disappointment for some of us. We'll also recap the British Open, a.k.a. the Open. NBA Summer League, for those of interest. We'll preview the WNBA All-Star Game, which happens a few hours after the show. And we'll count down to the MLB draft and the NFL, which preseason starts in 2 weeks. Seems like, wow, August 6th, yeah. Also, thoughts and comments, the ridiculous side of the week, sports trivia, this date in sports history, the inspiring story of the week, and the best and worst of July. So remember, the number is 512-543-4662 from 4 to 6 p.m. on Saturday. Don't forget to like and share the page, and we're on Facebook Live.
Cool. Again, guys, thank you to these two gentlemen for making this week fun. I had a blast today at day one of America Conference Media Day.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know if I'll get photos and videos tomorrow, and I'll post them to our group chat and stuff like that. We will have a special show next week, guys. We will be joined by Matthew Bauer, who was the one who wired millions of dollars from a bank account belonging to Shohei Ohtani. Again, he was arrested and put in prison for that. He will be on the show next week to talk to us about his books and about the whole betting scandal that he was involved in. So I want to thank Dana Smith, who set this interview up. So we will be on here next week. So Matthew will be joining us next week as well. And in 2 weeks, we'll have Betty Cantlay on here talking about the WNBA.
Yeah.
Said it about that as well. But again, I want to thank the men and women of our armed services and our first responders. Thank you for doing what you do. I actually had a American flag polo shirt on today. I'm walking down the hallway, and the guys from Army said, "Nice shirt." So I said, "Hey, thank you for doing what you do, because you're going to be defending my freedom, and that's awesome." So no, I appreciate the comment on the shirt, but you do a lot better job than I do with being and serving our country. So thank you to everyone that does that. Our soldiers, internationally, and our soldiers here domestically, with our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics who do a hell of a job that work and may not come home every day. There's no guarantee that they're going to be walking home from their shift every day. But this has been the Walker Report. I am the sports reporter, Bradley Walker. Thank you guys for joining in again. We will be back here next week at 8 o'clock to interview Matthew Bauer about the Shohei Ohtani betting scandal. We will be talking about that next week. Until then, peace.
All right.
Got to transcend it.
All right. Just let me get out of here. Oops. Oh.
And I will see you gentlemen next week.
Yeah, until next week.